My premise is that it's a really interesting, kind of pivotal historical moment that we're at right now in terms of the democratization of filmmaking and creating games and creating, full-length animated features if you want. So really pivotal moment, but a lot of unanswered questions about what's the business model going to be. How are people going to reach audiences? How are people going to, what's the role of distributors and studios and kind of the old-fashioned infrastructure? It feels like, we're not in a world yet where everyone can be like you and sort of do it themselves and be successful at it, but it feels like we're taking steps toward that world.
Unlike any other time in the history of cinema, now is the time that you can actually get directly to whoever you're trying to reach. So I think in terms of us coming together and meeting up with some really great people from various industries, whether it be the game industry, the software industry, the film industry, and kind of coming together in San Francisco for the conversation, it gives a chance to really spark that debate. Like, what are these new models? What are people doing? A chance to share information with each other. And I think that's a quantum leap, because in the entertainment industry, it's been very much like who's behind the curtain, who's Oz, who's working all those levers. And it's very much the case when you pull it back, you realize it is a little guy who's just like working some levers.
Right.
So our opportunity to really kind of have an open discussion around it and to remove it from the part of being, okay, well, here are the people talking at you, to an open discourse about these models, I think is very valuable. And realizing it isn't from one particular industry. These things, the ideas can spark from all of these industries.
Someone emailed me today and was asking, well, why are you describing it as not a conference? And my feeling is that a conference winds up being people on stage talking to people in the audience who are kind of there listening passively. A lot of times conferences get sold out to the sponsors, right? So you sort of notice, gee, half of the people on every panel seem to be sponsors of the conference, and they're sort of shilling their products. So we're trying to get away from that with the conversation and really make it this mapping out and exploring and interaction between the people on stage who are just sort of sharing, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm learning, with the people in the audience who are very likely doing stuff and learning stuff and kind of pioneering.
For me, one of the most hot button issues is around the topic of audience. I think that's a very important aspect, especially with the fragmentation of the outlets. And you've seen it very much in audience direct, by musicians. And it's an interesting model, I think, because for a lot of filmmakers or storytellers, the ability to kind of, you make a work, you toil, you slave away at it, and a lot of the stuff has become democratized. So the production aspects are all there, the tools are all there. Obviously, it comes down to a good story, but I think the biggest issue is like, okay, well now with all this clutter, all this stuff that's in the marketplace, how do you actually break through? How do you actually reach an audience in a meaningful way?
It's interesting. I mean, you have all these different events, whether they're film festivals or digital media events, where you have different constituencies of people. Sometimes you have more technologists, sometimes you have more sort of creators and filmmakers. And I think one of the interesting things that we're trying to achieve with the conversation is, could you bring the technologists and the entrepreneurs and the filmmakers and the internet video people and the game developers all together in one place and see what sparks would fly.
The beauty is it's like a starting point. It's kind of like there's nothing that's been, there's no set way to do it. And that's exciting. I think that's what excites me the most about it.